When I saw this headline, I'm sure my reaction was different from most people. Bahamas shatter tourism record for 2023 with over 9.6 million visits to the island. When I saw that, immediately what came to my mind is how does this trickle down to the local economy? How does this impact everyday Bahamian themselves? I know that people will see this headline and they're like, wow, like Bahamas is killing it. But let's dive deep into these numbers and see what it means for the local, the everyday Bahamian that work in the tourism industry. Let's take a deep dive in these numbers. Welcome to the beautiful island of Bahamas, home of one of the most exotic hotels in the world, the Atlantis, and playground for the rich and famous. This is Bahamas. So Americans have coined some interesting phrase, one of which is trickle down effect, which means that when people at the top makes a lot of money, eventually it will trickle down to the bottom, to the people that are actually doing the work. And the trickle down effect sound exactly what it is. It is that, like, just imagine like a very small leak in a pipe and it's like dripping, and it's not enough to impact in a way like it's flooding anything. It's just like drops. And that is what it really does. Like, the rich makes a lot of money and then they're just like little drops into the people that are actually doing the work. And this is the trickle down effect. And that's the problem that I personally have in terms of tourism in the Caribbean, not only in Bahamas, but we see it happen in Jamaica, we see it happen in Bermuda, in different places. And that's one of the first things that I would like to address, this trickle down effect. First, I must say, I believe that the Caribbean is one of the most beautiful regions on this earth. Very beautiful, surrounded by the Caribbean Sea, the Atlantic Ocean, you know, green, lush, beautiful land, mountains right across the Caribbean, you know, waterfalls, rivers, you name it. It's such a beautiful part of this planet. And I have been to Bahamas. I would say we visited 7-8 years ago, and Bahamas is extremely beautiful. We stayed in Paradise Island, close to the Atlantis Hotel, which is one of the premier hotels in the Caribbean and in the world. And you know, when I heard the numbers at first, that's almost 10 million, the numbers. The first thing that came to mind is that Bahamas is very small compared to, like, say, you know, we saw the numbers with Jamaica, we saw it with Dominican Republic, but those islands are much bigger than Bahamas, especially, you know, Paradise Island itself. So when I saw those numbers, immediately, like, I'm like, this must be cruise ship numbers, like majority must be cruise ship numbers. So when I actually got to read the article and get to see the numbers, yes, it was correct. Most of these numbers are cruise ship numbers. So let's take a dive into the numbers of the cruise and let's talk about it. I think it's important for me to say this. Pointing out this is not putting a bad light on tourism in any way in Bahamas. It's not to say tourism is not important to us in the Caribbean and it doesn't have an impact. But it is to point out that, you know, in the world that we're living in today, people are more concerned about human rights. People are more concerned about, you know, fair practices in terms of labor and just basic human rights. We are more concerned. How we're spending our money, who we're spending our money with, and the impact that the money that we're spending is having on the wider world that we live in. So just to get that out of the way. And so let's talk about the cruise ship now. So when I saw those numbers, I'm like, this has to be majority cruise ship, because Bahamas is too small to have 9 million people flying through that airport on a yearly basis. So when I dug into the article, it's actually, I was correct, and close to 6 million of the 9.5 million came in by sea, which is those cruise. And in Bahamas is made up of so many hundreds of different islands. One island in particular, it's called Coco Keys or Coco Cay, and this island is owned by one of the cruise. I think it's Royal Caribbean that own this island. And so my question is, especially if you are from Bahamas and you're watching this video, for almost 6 million people arriving to Bahamas on a cruise, are they really going to Bahamas? You know, if they come on a cruise and of that 5.5, close to 6 million people that came on the cruise, they go to a private island that's owned by a cruise ship, are they really in Bahamas? How does this impact? Because I'm not from Bahamas, you know, so I need to point that out. I don't know the politics, the atmosphere, like how is it? Because I know that in the cruise ship there are people from all over the world that works on the cruise ship. There are people from the Philippines, there are people from America, there are people from all over the Caribbean that work on the cruise ship. I actually know a lot of people personally that work on some of these cruises. So if approximately close to 6 million people came to Bahamas on the cruise, how does that impact the local economy? How does it impact the everyday Bahamian that's trying to get a job, going to work, those people that are involved in the tourism in any type of way, if it's you know, selling merchandise and all those good stuff, how does it impact? And that's an honest question, because you know, I've been in the hospitality industry for 30 years, and I've seen even where craft, because with the beginning of tourism, when tourism started, the hospitality industry started taking off in the Caribbean, craft was one of the ways that the everyday local person without the big education, that weren't able to go to university, some of those people that are not even able to work in the hotel as waiters and waitresses, but they were able to use their skills to do carving and to do all these other stuff. Now that industry has been taken away from them. So if you are from Bahamas, please sound off in the comment section. Just let me know, like, are you in the hotel industry? Do you feel that the workers that work in that industry are getting a fair shot? Or do you think that these numbers are pretty much just favoring the people that own the cruise and the big investors, and the everyday Bahamian are not feeling the impact of this 9.5 million visitors in 2023? Just sound off below and let me know what you think. Okay, so let's continue crunching the numbers. So over 5.6 million people came in by cruise, and for air arrival it was 1.7 million people, and then I guess you can deduct the balance from that to be those billionaires or millionaires that you know go to Bahamas for their escape. So we're talking about, you know, those Oprah Winfrey, Eddie Murphy, those people who own private islands there, and they would go on their private jets. And we know that Bahamas is just an hour away from Miami, so there are a lot of people that sail on their yacht to Bahamas, so that would account for the balance. In terms of air travel, we know that Bahamas is extremely expensive. You know, we visited Bahamas, we were lucky. You know, it's one of those things where if you can just get up and go and get a last minute deal, that's what we did. But today the on the lower end, like it's $300 per night to stay at one of the lower end hotels. I'm not talking about Atlantis and those other massive hotels. I'm talking about something like a bed and breakfast type that you'd probably pay $80 in the US. That's like $300 in Bahamas. So that is like premium stuff. And yes, so you know, traveling to Bahamas, and the last time what I realized the last time that I've been there is that because there's so much attention on Bahamas, it's a bit similar to Bermuda. So many attention on Bahamas from Americans in particular, it kind of raised the standard in Bahamas in terms of the cost of living is extremely high. So you'd go there and you'd see Dunkin' Donuts, you see Starbucks, you see KFC, and the prices are very high because now it becomes like a tourism type of mecca where people are pushing up these prices. So for me, like as I said, my concern is for locals, for the everyday Bahamian, that because of this attention on Bahamas, rent is high. Cost of living is high in terms of buying food for the everyday person that live in Bahamas, that work in the hotel industry and work in other industry. So if you are from Bahamas, please, as I said, like I'm not from Bahamas, I don't live there, I don't know the everyday, so I'm looking to hear from people that are in Bahamas. How does this impact your everyday living in Bahamas, the cost of living? Because to note, like I lived in Bermuda for 7 years, I think 7 years. Bermuda is very similar to Bahamas. They're, surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean. Those islands that are like premium islands where the rich and famous like to travel to. And because of that, the prices are heightened and cost of living is expensive. So like 15 years ago, living in Bermuda, like I was paying like, I think $4 for like one of those cartons of milk, those liter cartons of milk that you'd get at that time in America, you'd get for like $1, like 15 years ago. Now, living in Canada today, we're paying like $3.50, $4 for that same thing that I was paying $4 for like 15 years ago. So that's how expensive places like Bermuda and Bahamas can get. And from my personal experience, like working in Bermuda, coming from Jamaica to work in Bermuda, like the money was like night and day. Like I made tons of money in Bermuda, but it like trying to live in Bermuda at the time, you make the money, but you spend it on rent, like you spend it on groceries, like it's extremely expensive. So I can just imagine what it's like in Bahamas, with Bahamas becoming this premium location for like the rich and famous from the US. So sound off below, like let me know, like if you are from Bahamas, in particular you work in the hospitality industry, you work in one of those hotels or restaurant, when you see numbers like this, the 9.5 million visitors 2023, and we see it splash all over the media and articles, and it's a good number. How does this number impact you? Are you able to to survive in Bahamas? Are you able to live a decent life, like working in the hospitality industry? So just share your experience in the comment section, and I'm sure not just myself but other people that work across the Caribbean, not only in the hospitality industry, but people want to know what's going on. So just sound off in the comment section and let me know if like these numbers are like more than trickling down, if like the locals are benefiting from these numbers the way they should. You know, I know the government would be happy because they're getting taxes. Like for everybody that goes to Bahamas, I'm sure the government is getting at least $20 in taxes and other taxes from these numbers. So I'm sure the government is happy. But are you happy as the everyday Bahamian working in the hospitality industry or just working in any industry at all with what does this number mean for you? So sound off in the comment section, and please remember to like, share and subscribe as I try to bring you more content from the Caribbean. And remember, peace. I'm out.